Hi, Nick Beach here. Today I want to talk about the art and mysteries of the OK gesture. Here's a BBC News article. Recent one, recent vintage, May 16th, 2019. When is the OK gesture not okay? Francis Marine Le Pen of the far-right National Party is the latest politician to find themselves in hot water for signalling that everything is okay. While visiting Estonia's far-right ICRI party, which has just entered government, she made the ancient hand gesture in a selfie with the party's youth leader, Ruben Caleb. Anyway, because it's the BBC, let's just take a very quick peekaloo at the Conservative People's Party of Estonia. That's EKRI, E-K-R-E. This section here basically gets to the nub of it, I think. The party sees the preservation of Estonian ethnicity as its main objective, and many of its policies are directed towards providing support to young Estonian families, lowering emigration of Estonians, and preventing immigration from outside of the European Union. Okay, so they don't want a flood of immigrants. Why don't they want a flood of immigrants? Well, it must be because they're racist. No, actually it's not. Most of the time people don't resist immigration just because of what it does to the economy, or because of cultural factors. I mean, when the Irish first came in, they were, very heavily discriminated against. I mean, this has often been pointed out that the Irish were lower on the economic ladder in antebellum United States compared to African Americans. Okay, this is an excellent quote here on the Wikipedia page for Irish Americans. Native tolerance, however, was also a very important factor in Irish integration into Southern society. What does native tolerance consist of? Upper-class Southerners, you're going to love this, therefore did not object to the Irish because Irish immigration never threatened to overwhelm their cities or states. In other words, the problem wasn't your nationality or your race or your language or whatever the hell else. It's simply whether or not you threaten to overwhelm the cities and the states, and you threaten to totally change over the political landscape, the cultural landscape, and the economic landscape. If you're fresh off the boat, you're going to work for lower wages. Everybody's just going to cause a depression in everyone's wages, basically, in the lower tier, and there's going to be pushback as a consequence. It has nothing to do, again, with race or anything else. But then I like the next bit even better. The Irish were willing to take on potentially high mortality occupations. In other words, they're willing to take on jobs where they could get killed, thereby sparing valuable slave property. Anybody who knows anything about antebellum South knows about this. Slaves were not, for example, lynched during before the Civil War because they were way too valuable. If you want to get rid of a slave, you sold them down the river down to a place where slaves were more highly valued because you want to get rid of them, which generally was down the river because that's where the larger scale plantations where there was a bigger market for people like that. You might beat a slave, but you didn't kill a slave. Irish, on the other hand, you could get them to work in dangerous jobs, for example, on the plantation. So, for example, if they had to climb up a tree and do something, if they fell out of the tree and broke their arm, well, you gave them a pittance and sent them on their way. If a slave broke their arm, that means 3 months where they can't work. Okay, that's a serious loss, economic loss to a plantation owner. So, of course, slaves were saved from the kind of dangerous labor, which was instead taken up by, for example, the Irish, because the Irish began flooding the United States in the 1830s. Again, as to religion, the Catholicism practiced by Irish immigrants was of little concern to Southern natives. Yeah, again, it's the same thing with Islam or any other religion. Provided you're not running around killing people, that's not an issue. Provided you're not proselytizing in an aggressive way, that's not an issue. I mean, Jehovah's Witnesses, for example, were banned in Montreal. They're not Muslims, but they were banned because they used to go knocking everyone's doors and annoying the crap out of people, and people just got tired of it. I mean, the Jehovah's Witnesses are Catholic, and of course Montreal is Catholic, but nevertheless they were banned. So why am I getting into all of this? Well, the problem is, in order to read anything from the BBC, you just have to, you have to parse everything. You have to deconstruct all the nonsense in the story, which is one of the reasons why I would never go for my news to BBC or the CBC or whatever else, or MSNBC, NBC, ABC, CBS, TBS, etc., because they're just, so much of it is just doublespeak. Anyway, to continue with the BBC story, there's just one problem. The symbol has been widely used by white nationalists in recent years, and for many people has taken on a darker meaning. According to Marine Le Pen, she said, "I've never heard of the second meaning of this trivial gesture." But she has still come in for criticism, with some asking, and this is just too ironic for words. With some asking how the political leader could be ignorant of a major trend among the far-right scene she operates in. Well, the answer is, it's not a major far-right trend, you idiots. And then the truth. From the ultra-right to American conservatives, and even the suspect in a mass murder, he's referring to the New Zealander, the symbol is being used to troll the media and ruffle feathers. You got that right. Anyway, more classic, unironic statements of the truth. The entire saga started out as an online joke, taking an innocent and widely used gesture and pretending that there was a sinister hidden meaning behind it, hoping to trick the media and left-leaning people into outrage. They didn't hope, they did. But the joke was so successful, thank you, and the gesture was so widespread among the far-right and white nationalists, wrong, it's a gesture that's widespread amongst all people, period, that many believe the OK sign is changing meaning. It's only changing meaning because you idiots you acquiesce in the claim that the OK sign actually is a white power sign. It's only taking over because you acquiesce in this sort of, what would you call it, an intellectual property right incursion by the far right. I mean, if you just said they can use the sign to mean anything they want, we don't care. We're still going to insist that it means what we want it to mean. Then there wouldn't be a problem. I mean, one of the things, I give an example, the way in which this works in my life is if somebody would say, oh, you think you're a smartass, and I would respond, well, it's better than being a dumbass. I don't take smartass, I take the word smartass and I turn it around so that it means smart instead of meaning stupid, which is what it normally would mean if you use in the conjunction smart ass. Or when people would accuse me of saying, you just think you're smarter than everybody, and I would say, no, that's what you think. You're projecting your belief that I really am smarter than everybody upon me, and that's why you're expressing your thoughts in that way, because you believe I'm smarter than everybody. I actually don't believe I'm smarter than everybody. I just think I have a certain, small skill set, which I've worked to my benefit, which I excel at. Whereas other people may excel at, say, in finances, which is cool. I need to do the same, frankly. People excel in martial arts. Well, I would love to be better at martial arts myself too, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I only excel at a very small skill set, and I know that. But again, the point being is you can take what people say and you can spin it around to mean what you want. A person can insult you. You can convert the insult into a compliment. I do it all the time. And by the same gesture, you don't have to acquiesce in the OK sign becoming the intellectual property, basically, of the quote-unquote far-right and white nationalists. Not to mention the fact that the so-called white nationalists, and this is a minuscule population. I mean, I think I've seen estimates something like 10,000 people in a country of 330 million people. I've never met a white nationalist. I don't know if anybody who in my circle who's ever mentioned meeting a white nationalist. These are the kind of people you see on TV. It's like the Beverly Hillbillies or something. The Clampets. I've never met a Clampet. I've only seen them on television. Are they real? I mean, there's even the suspicion that the former KKK leader, what's his name? I was thinking of this guy, David Duke. Apparently, he's too scary to put up a photograph here on Wikipedia. But I mean, I've seen people, intimate that perhaps David Duke's the only reason he's even around that can make a living and be who he is because he's constantly being resurrected by the mainstream media as the face of the KKK. Whereas if it wasn't for the media, focusing on him all the time, he wouldn't be in the limelight. He wouldn't be able to make a living as a KKK guy, and he'd go back into kind of obscurity and poverty or whatever. I mean, the mainstream often makes these people. They don't exist on their own. Because, of course, the mainstream media needs people like this. You need to have good guys and bad guys because, anyway, for many of us, the media is basically a reflection of our inner drama queen. We want to see things, so we want our own inner mental lives projected into the real world. And if you dislike people like the KKK, as I, of course, do as well, then it's good to be able to put a face on it and have some guy, some blonde dude, mouthpiece, when in fact he represents basically an extinct. I mean, the KKK is about as viable as the dinosaurs, for God's sakes. Anyway, fortunately, according to the U.S.-based Southern Poverty Law Center, a dubious organization if ever there was one for these things, in the end, the OK sign can mean almost anything. Exactly. And they warn against jumping to conclusions about the meaning, probably because their own people are going to be caught on camera doing it, because everybody does. It's so crazy. Anyway, to their credit, the BBC says, since 2017, many people have been falsely accused of being racist or white supremacist for using the OK gesture in its traditional and innocuous sense. And again, to go back to what was up here, people asking how Marie Le Pen could be ignorant of a major trend among the far-right scene, because it's not a major trend. The far-right scene. Come on, it's ridiculous. Anyway, all right, I decided to throw out a few words on this OK gesture nonsense, and whatever, throw in my 50 cents worth. All right, thanks for tuning in. I'll see you soon again. Bye-bye. Oh, yeah, I left this part out, too, actually, I meant to get to. This is, a clip, a shot from 4chan, the original Operation OKKK. Check this out. This is wonderful stuff. We must flood Twitter and other social media websites with spam claiming that the OK hand sign is a symbol of white supremacy. Make fake accounts with basic white girl names and type shit like, OMG, that's so true. Use as many emojis as you please. It would also be good for us to associate the OK sign being a symbol of white supremacy because Mel Gibson used it. Use the hashtag #PowerHandPrivilege in all of your tweets and whatnot related to this. Bonus points if your profile pic is something related to supporting feminism. And then the quote that just ties it up. Beautiful. Leftists have dug so deep down into their lunacy, we must force them to dig more until the rest of society ain't going to go anywhere near that shit. Yeah, basically, and it worked. It worked like a charm. I mean, the average person's going, what? This is a now verboten hand sign? Are you people nuts? Yes, you are. Thanks for swallowing the bait. Anyway, cheers for watching. See you again soon. Bye-bye.